Hello.
Hello, Lucy.
Hi, good morning to everybody in LA.
Good morning. I'll give people a few more minutes to log on. You look great. How's the weather in England today?
Actually, now it's beautiful, but up until an hour ago it was raining. So that's exactly why I love Dubai, and I miss Dubai right now. Yeah, there's always sunshine in Dubai. How is it there in LA?
It's great. It's great. I got my bicycle ride in this morning, so that felt good.
Amazing. How far do you ride?
This morning I did about 18 miles. I went up a local canyon.
Wow.
And that keeps my sanity through the sheltering in place.
I bet 18 miles. Goodness, for me that would be a huge hike.
Yeah,
I'll get there one day.
No, I'm used to it. So it's like anything else. You build up and you get used to it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well done you.
And I'll also maybe ask you this when we get going, but I'm curious, do you not have the ability to get to Dubai right now?
No, I can't get to Dubai. So basically, no one is allowed to enter Dubai at all, including residents. So the border, I believe now, if I'm not mistaken, was locked down 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So even residents that were outside of the country could not come back in after that certain time. So there was an almost immediate window. I think it was like 36 hours, if not less, that you either had to get out or stay in.
Well, great excuse to spend time with your family.
That's right, exactly. So we have to be grateful for everything that happens,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people suffering through this. I completely can relate, but equally there's a lot of opportunity as well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're just getting into the time of year that my daughter likes it there. She cannot handle England January and February, and right about April she starts really loving it.
Yeah. Now it's like spring is coming and the flowers are out. It's beautiful. Hi everybody. I can see some more people here now.
Morning. Yeah, we'll give people 1 or 2 more minutes to jump on, and then we'll get started.
I really want to do a funky screen like this gentleman. Who's this? David. And I don't know how to do it, but I think my laptop is too old. So annoying.
Well, David can get you set up with a Ziff Real Estate Professionals background anytime you want.
The only thing I'm selling over here.
Whatever it takes. I'm actually thinking, I like the look of that property. I might have a client that likes that property. Are you actually selling that picture?
Love it.
Hello, Mark. We're just going to give people a few more minutes.
Good
Lucy,
morning.
that's Mark Groves, team
I
leader.
like your background, Mark.
States.
This is what they do with team leaders in California.
I don't know if that's a real background or not. I'm not going to comment because I might say the wrong thing.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get started. For those of you who don't know Lucy is one of the top agents in Dubai. And Dubai is, for those who don't know, the principal city of the country of the United Arab Emirates, or the UAE. And a lot of people think Dubai is its own country, and maybe it seems like that because of all the press that it gets.
That's right.
Lucy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really great to see you, really great to talk to you. Tell us a little bit about how an English lady like you ended up in the Middle East in Dubai.
Absolutely. Well, okay. How long have you got? So yeah, basically I've kind of lived all my life overseas. So basically I used to be a tour guide, and I was taking people on extreme holidays all over the world. So scuba diving, snowboarding, wine tasting, trekking, cruises, you name it, I took them there. And then basically I decided, well, actually, I really don't know the Middle East region at all. And one of the things, I'm a very curious person by nature, as I'm sure everyone here is, because that's what we have to be in real estate. And I really wanted to understand more about the Middle East, because the only thing I knew was from the press, and it was so one-sided. And I know that the press is usually wrong, as we all know right now, say no more. So I thought, if I go and actually live in the Middle East and explore it for myself, then I'll have my own opinion. So it's completely by curiosity. And I actually landed in the Sultanate of Oman, which is the country next door to the UAE. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with Oman, but Oman is really famous for its frankincense, for the three wise men who brought the frankincense to baby Jesus. That's its sort of claim to fame. And it's also famous for having one of only 2 sultans in the world. But anyway, having lived in Oman for 7 years, where I actually fell into real estate, and learned about the Arab mentality and how they buy property, was selling all off plan, we call it under construction. For personal reasons, I decided I wanted a change, but I didn't want to be out of the Middle East. So I moved to Dubai, because that was a great place to carry on my real estate career. So
How long ago was that?
So I moved to Dubai in 2012. So I've been in real estate almost 16 years now. So that, yeah, how long ago was that? 8 years. So I've been in Dubai almost 8 years to August. And basically, funnily enough, and I don't think you know this story, Lee, when I arrived in Dubai, nobody would give me a job in real estate because I had no experience in Dubai. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. And you know what happens when somebody tells me I can't do something?
Good for you. And yes, I do. So, yeah. Lucy, what is great about living in Dubai, and what's challenging about living in Dubai?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let's start with what is challenging. So, well, the heat. Now, I love the sunshine, but basically from about now until September, the heat is always over 45 degrees, 40 to 45 degrees every day. So when you're doing viewings or open
house, by the way, for us Americans, that's over 100 degrees.
Okay, sorry, yeah, sure, I got the wrong, yes, you're right, you have to do the conversion. So can you imagine, we're selling quite a lot of under construction property or show properties where the AC, the air conditioning isn't yet switched on. So you're absolutely sweating through a viewing with your clients, and you want to look glamorous, and you're just like a wet mess. Your sunglasses are steaming up when you come out of your air conditioned car into the heat, then you go back into an air conditioned house maybe. So it's really tough, the heat, but you do get used to it. So that's one thing that's challenging. Second is that, what else is challenging? Yeah, actually, this is really interesting for you to note. We don't have an MLS. Can you believe that? So basically, you could be one of 25 agents on the same property listing, and it's literally dog eats dog.
Sounds like business in Beverly Hills, actually, but go ahead.
Really? Okay.
No.
So what it means is you really do have to be the best, and you do have to stand out, because if not, there's 24 more people that are already selling it. And then the problem we have is that the buyer will go through every one of the 25 agents, playing each one off the other. It is a complete nightmare, Lee.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And how about buyer's agents? Do you have buyer's agents there?
Well, I'm going to shock you now, but we can do both sides of the transaction. So I can be a seller and a buyer's agent at once. And I don't think it's necessarily the right way forwards, but what you have to understand is that our industry only began in 2004. Okay, so it's only 16 years old. So before that, there was no centralized real estate laws or regulations. There were no licenses that you needed to do. So it's really still very young. people are still learning. And as a result, you know, there are some really, really professional agents. Let's say about 15% of the 30,000 agents in the city. And the rest used to be taxi. I'm not being rude about taxi drivers, but how am I trying to say this? So maybe they were dustbin men, or they were taxi drivers, or how do I explain it in a different way? Basically, because they were sitting one day and they recognized that there was so much more money in real estate without any qualifications, without any integrity, they decided they can be an agent selling a 5 million dirham property. 5 million dirham is around $1.5 million. Yeah. And the fact is that really they have no integrity, a lot of these people. They just want to do the deal for the commission. It's for them a transaction. It's not relationship at all. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
Yeah.
it does sound challenging to be there because of the heat and how you're doing business. What's great about living in Dubai? Why would you want to be there? You're from London, which is an amazing city. Why not just move back to London? What's great about living in Dubai?
Oh my goodness, there's so many great things. So firstly, we don't pay tax. So anything we earn, we take it all home. So
Wow.
yeah, that's
Okay.
quite exciting. Secondly, obviously, you know, I've told you about the heat, but what I love is waking up and the sky is always blue. It's just so refreshing, and I'm a very positive person. I need that, you know, really lovely weather. Also, there's such an array of property, and you're right on the ocean, so it seems it's like, you know, you can dream big in Dubai because the properties we go to visit, you know, just like your background there, sorry, I'm just remembering your name again, David, you know, properties like the background of David's, we really have those like infinity pools. We really have the ocean behind us. We have the Palm Jumeirah. You know, mansions have got their own private beaches. We've got penthouses in the sky. We've got walled gardens, swimming pools in the sky. It really is like a dream world, and it's real. It's so exciting. It excites me tremendously when I'm going to view.
Wow, that sounds great. Now,
Yeah.
you haven't really mentioned the culture. What's it like to do business there as a woman, especially as a blonde woman with your beautiful, fair English skin?
Actually, it's really no different to a man, if I can say that. I mean, you know, we have to be aware. I think, as everyone does at work, that we have to be suited and booted because we dress for success, right? And it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the world, and we're no different. But having said that, as a woman, you obviously have to be a little bit more cautious about what you're wearing. And for example, if I know I'm going to meet a Gulf local as a client, then I would probably definitely have my jacket in the car. Whereas perhaps if I had a European client, then I might think nothing of having my dress with no sleeves on, and I won't think anything of, you know, just going in for a meeting with them. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I'm very aware who I'm going to meet. You know, if you go into the hotel lobbies, I meet a lot of clients in the hotels like the Four Seasons. We've got the Mandarin Oriental. You know, we've got the Burj Al Arab, the famous 7-star hotel. You would want to dress smart because the types of clientele in there, they're definitely noticing you, and it's much more easy to obviously be able to break the ice and chat to them. So yeah, I mean, as a woman to do business, the locals have not had, like, growing up, the women stayed separate and the men stayed separate as children, although even that's changing as you know, times are more modern. So, you know, I think the men really like to have a female point of view because they weren't used to it as a child themselves. So they like to sit with business women and you know, understand our thoughts on the world. So it's quite refreshing for them. And what I love as a woman, Lee, is it's very safe. It's actually the safest country in the world that I've ever lived or traveled to. And I've traveled to over 70 countries, and I've lived in 4 of 5 continents. The only one I haven't lived in is the USA. But yeah, so that definitely for me is very attractive. You know, imagine no one has guns, there's no murder, there's no rape, there's no theft. You can leave your house open and there's security downstairs. There's security on the gates of villas and, you know, the Palm Jumeirah. So a lot of people come to Dubai and buy in Dubai for that security. we have quite a lot of African clients, and you can imagine the turbulent countries that they're coming from as well. Not
Right.
just African, all sorts of countries.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. It doesn't sound like it's any more challenging to do business as a woman there than it would be in the
No,
West.
no,
That's
it absolutely
fantastic.
isn't.
So,
Yeah.
so tell us about the prices there. The tallest building, for those of you who don't know, the tallest building in the world is in Dubai. And I
Yeah.
believe there's condominiums in that building too, aren't there?
That's correct. So Burj Khalifa is the tallest tower in the world and stands, if I'm not incorrect, at 880 meters tall. So
By the way, that's over 2,000 feet for those of us who don't speak English.
So basically the lift that takes you up there takes, I think it's 50 something seconds, and there's like disco lights as you go up in this lift, and you can feel your ears pop. When you're at the top of the tower, it definitely sways a little bit. I don't want to freak you out, but it definitely feels like it's swaying a bit. But basically at the base of the Burj Khalifa, you have the Armani Hotel and then Armani Residences. And then you have another entrance for the actual residence of the Burj Khalifa. And for the residence, because I have a very close friend of mine that lives in it, there are 3 lifts within the residence. So there's one lift to the 42nd floor. Then you have to change lifts via security. Then you have to change lifts again around the 80th floor, and so on and so on. The security is extremely tight because just like obviously what happened in 9/11, people often think it could happen to the Burj Khalifa. So you have to have a passcode that's given 3 hours before you enter, whether you're going when you're going to visit a residence. So whenever I go to meet my friend, she sends me my own passcode. I have to go through security. Everyone has their cars valeted in any hotel in Dubai, not just the Burj Khalifa. So you don't park your own car in Dubai, which is really nice. And then basically you go through security. What I love about the Burj Khalifa, there's 2 swimming pools. There's one around the 30th floor and there's one at the 72nd floor. And I remember another friend of mine lived there, said he got a better tan on the 72nd floor. Of course, right? Just like when we go skiing. It's so funny.
And what are the prices like there? What's the highest sale in Dubai? What's the highest sale in the Burj Khalifa?
Okay, so prices. So the highest sale in Burj Khalifa was a full floor, I believe. And again, there are floors at the bottom of the tower that are huge compared to floors at the top where there's only 2 units because it goes narrow, right? So I believe that there was like I know somebody that's done, a couple of units there that were, I think, like 24 million dirham for 2 units. Funnily enough, people don't want to be really high because the view is too high up and it's actually not interesting. You just see the sky. So actually, funnily enough, you have a premium for the lower floors where you can see the fountains, because we have the really famous fountains like you guys in Vegas. And so we always talk about a fountain view. It's a real jargon for the realtors in Dubai. Is it a fountain view? But I've got a penthouse owner right now and I've told him it's way too high. We all love that conversation with our owners. And he wants 7 million dirham for a penthouse that really is probably not worth more than about 4.5 million dirham today. Divide by 3.3.
Okay, so we're talking about somewhere in the $1.5 million range for a unit, which by our standards here for a building that prestigious sounds very reasonable.
Yep, it is.
How about when you get into more of the bread and butter, your average person? Are people living in houses there? Are they mostly living in condos? And what are the prices of houses and your average condo for your average professional there?
So I need to just go back one step for people to understand and relate to Dubai. So what you have to understand is 85% of the people that live in Dubai are expatriates. That means they are not locals from the Emirates. So if you imagine,
think about that, everybody. Think about that. 85% of the people in her city are not from Dubai. That's huge percentage.
So everyone comes in, they get a residency visa that's renewed every 2 years by going through a medical, and that's going to be obviously even stricter now, which is not a bad thing. And basically everyone has to rent from day one. So there's a huge rental market, okay? But then what happens is, of course, people recognize, well, if they're throwing away all this rent, they may as well invest and be an owner. So what's happened now, if we look at that, we've got 85% expatriates, we've got 15% locals. There are leasehold properties and local properties which we can't sell. So we only sell freehold properties because that's where all of my market is. You know, I don't do deals for local properties and local areas because there's not really a demand for that, but they're way cheaper. But you and I couldn't buy a local property. We could rent in it, but we couldn't buy. So we sell freehold properties. So all the glamorous properties that you've ever seen are freehold. You don't have to question, is this one? They all are. You wouldn't even know about the local properties really. So basically of that captive market of 85% expatriates, the next thing I was going to say is you've then got expatriates that come and use Dubai for a couple of months a year. They might use Dubai as a tax haven. So they have their companies out of Dubai, but they're traveling the world all the time. You know, we have people with 5 to 10 homes, all dotted around the world that live and are based in Dubai because that's where it works best for their LLC. Say no more.
So it sounds like you don't do business with any locally
Not
born
really.
Emiratis. Okay, so like all of your business is expats, their investments, and their homes in Dubai.
Well, okay, actually, having said that, I do business with the Emiratis because Emiratis, who are very shrewd investors, want to own the freehold properties to rent them out and obviously receive the returns. And they'll come to us because, you know, they like doing business with Westerners as realtors because they trust us the most. That's just how it is in the Gulf, by the way. And you know, something that's really perhaps quite alien for you guys in the US is there's really not a lot of Americans in Dubai. It's all British and European, but primarily British. So the way I can relate it, because I lived in Central America, so I understand that, you know, the land of opportunity is America for Latin America, right? So how I can explain it to you guys is for the Gulf, the land of opportunity is really the UK. If that makes sense. I'm trying to like relate here because I've seen does that make sense? So, and also the US is like a 15-hour flight from the Gulf. So I don't very often get American clients unless they're there on military placements, unless you know, they're teachers or they're working in the embassies, you know. So I have very few American clients and very few Gulf clients, and people living in our area come to the US again because it's so far away to fly. What we do have a lot of clients, which I think is how we can all work together, is my number one client is from Pakistan and India. So they are easily 50% of my entire database, my entire CRM, everybody I work with, and half the agents in Dubai. Okay, so yeah, I know, right? So of course, so many of my clients actually have residents in the US and Canada who are Pakistani or who are Indian. So that is an incredible opportunity for all of us to work together.
And how about Chinese? Are there many Chinese investing in Dubai?
Yeah, the Chinese have really opened the doors to Dubai in the last 2 years. It's been going absolutely crazy. But one thing I've recognized, and you know, I'd love to hear your opinions, is it's not very easy to work with the Chinese if you're not Chinese. So I've just never gone down that route unless I have Chinese friends, and that's, you know, that's separate. We go out and have drinks together, but generally the Chinese stay with the Chinese, which I can understand. You know, it's a different culture. I've traveled all over China, by the way, and I understand the culture, and it's so different to what we're used to. So I get that.
Yeah, well, you've got a language barrier and a cultural barrier there.
Absolutely.
how about financing? What is financing like in Dubai compared to the West? Is it the same? Are people paying mostly cash? How's it work?
Okay, so basically, you can borrow now up to 85% on a mortgage. Okay, but you obviously need to have a lot of documents that you show the bank first and foremost, and it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks to prepare your documents. That's as a resident in Dubai. If you're a non-resident, then really you can't avail of more than about 55, depends on the bank, about 50 to 55% mortgage. That's as much as you can borrow, and it goes up to 65 years old. So what's a really interesting topic that's happening now in Dubai is the developers, because I sell a lot of under construction property. And by the way, I had to pivot my business 2.5 years ago because I recognized that the market was changing. But basically, the resale market is what you all sell, which is obviously properties that are there and being sold between a private seller to a buyer, correct? So we call that the resale market. So the difference in Dubai is the resale market has come down a bit, well, a lot, because our properties are now 15 years old in the heat where they have not been maintained well. Because we're a new industry, people didn't understand necessarily that they actually had to maintain a property and rent it out. No one had property management contracts. No one cared about property maintenance, except the very, very few that were educated investors who would invest in real estate elsewhere in the world. But it was such a new concept to a local owner. You know, once I've got my rental and my return, then, you know, the tenants can do the rest. It's quite an alien concept because for us in our countries, as an owner, we really look after our properties and maintain them. But now things are changing, because now what's happened is there's huge competition between the resale properties and the under construction, which are trendy, modern, you know, full of technological advances. And these resale owners can't compete anymore because they haven't necessarily looked after their properties. The properties have got old. They don't have building permits after 10 years. They don't have, not building permits, sorry, a building warranty. So that expires after 10 years. So
sounds like a great opportunity for people to fix them up. Lucy, how long ago did you come to Keller Williams?
So I've been in Keller Williams 5 years.
And how did that change your business?
Sorry?
And did that change your business, joining Keller Williams? Did it change your outlook? Was there anything about the company that affected the way you do business?
Well, oh my goodness, it's completely changed my life. And I really mean that. So basically, Keller Williams came to me and they asked me to join them as the team leader. So basically, we set up Keller Williams Dubai 5 years ago, and I joined the OP at the time from New York, and the two of us basically grew the market center. But it's very challenging, real estate in Dubai, because people don't really understand the concept of owning your own business and being, you know, having that freedom. So we had to sell the concept. The other challenge we have is nobody in the world knows Keller Williams this side of the world. Everybody does in your side of the world, but nobody knows it. So we're having to sell that we're this huge American real estate agency, very successful, but people are like, oh, well, you know, we're not American. We don't do it the American way. But then that's where I come in, because I'm English, selling an American agency. So that helped somewhat. So coming to Keller Williams as a team leader for the first 2.5 years, obviously I'd never officially been trained in real estate. So I was now training others. And I recognized, goodness, I'd just been, you know, going forward step by step, and really with no plan, with no goals, with no 411. And, you know, not having scripts, not having a plan for the day. I didn't understand about lead generation. I just fitted things in my day as an agent. I never had any order. So coming to Keller Williams, I've learned, you know, obviously through Ignite, I've learned through, well, even just things like matching personalities through the disc. You know, who are my clients and what personality are they, and what do I have to be to work with them and fit into their personality. is so much that I've learned from this company. And then Lee, basically just under 2.5 years ago, I decided to come back in as an agent to go back into production. And, you know, basically became the #1 agent in Dubai for Keller Williams, because I wasn't gonna be number 2.
Good for you. And what do you do to generate leads to make you #1? How are you building your business? How do you reach people?
Yeah. Okay. So basically my entire business is social media, and it has been for at least 3 years. So in this coronavirus, touch wood, I mean, I'm doing what I've pretty much always done. I wasn't doing the Zoom calls like this. I wasn't doing any of these webinars. So that's new, that's changed. But, you know, I've been growing my LinkedIn account for 12 years. So I have 44,000 followers. So today, when I need to get hold of 44,000 people, I don't need to build that, which took me 12 years. You know, I have a brand on YouTube. I do videos on YouTube, which actually are my saving grace. My videos I can use now to send them out because I can't get there. And then my Facebook, been building actually with a lot of amazing Keller Williams colleagues. So maybe some of you guys on here, we're connected. I'm trying to look at names and see if I recognize any. I can't see any that I recognize here right now. I'm just trying to see.
Well, you'll recognize them soon because you got a bunch of new friends.
Yeah, no, please guys, join me on Instagram. I'm on social media every day. I'll give you my Instagram. It's Lucy J Parker _ That's LUCY J Parker as a Parker _ my YouTube videos, Lucy J Parker. And then of course I'm on Facebook. And I'm actually I'm quite particular with my Facebook. If you want to add me, you know, we have 5,000 friends, Lee, right?
Yes.
So I keep changing those round, because if I look on people's Facebook accounts and they're not active, I don't connect with them, because I think it's really important that we can, I want to get, if I'm connecting with you on Facebook, I want to get to know who you are, Lee. And I know that you want to get to know who I am. So
right.
If I just connect with you and then I haven't been on my Facebook for 2 months, that I don't see the value in that. So I don't connect with people that aren't active. So it's really key to be active. And I learned so much about people. That's how I do business.
And are you getting on, in addition to social media, are you getting on the phones? Do you ever door knock?
Good question. Good question. Yeah, we're not allowed to door knock. It's illegal, and we are fined in Dubai. So we're fined 50,000 dirham, which is about $15,000. If you're caught door knocking, you're not allowed to put flyers anywhere. It's not easy to get an open house because you have to go through permission routes to get permission letters, and everyone tries to be difficult. It's not easy. And then the other thing is we're not allowed to cold call, meaning I've never cold call anyway, but when I say cold call, what I mean is people sell data. Imagine, I mean, it's illegal in the UK, and I'm sure it's illegal in the US, right? I don't know. And it is illegal in Dubai, but people still do it, and they just call and say, hi, I believe you're once looking to buy a house. And 9 times out of 10, you can get through and call them and they're fine. And the one person will report you. So, you know, I think that's why I've done social media for so long, Lee, because I had to find a way to lead generate that worked. So that's what works.
And is that how you promote your properties as well? Is it through social media?
Yes.
Because it sounds like open houses are difficult.
Yeah.
And mass marketing may not be that easy.
Yeah. No, I've always done like videos of properties. And the other thing as well that you guys should understand about Dubai is most of our buyers are actually international, and they're still outside of the country. So if they're sitting in their sofa, then they don't just want to see an email, because that's boring. You know, by the way, we don't use emails very much in Dubai. I don't do any emails for my clients. Everything is WhatsApp, as you know. So
yep, I know well.
Yeah.
Lucy sends a WhatsApp about every day.
Yeah, Lee doesn't forget me in a hurry. So I do. So like you guys may do email campaigns. Well, I do WhatsApps. Because it's instant and it's there. But it's really funny because a lot of my American people on my WhatsApps, they don't answer them. So I know, they don't really use their WhatsApp. So
yeah,
it's
well, I see it. I see it every day. Absolutely. I read your posts every day. So Lucy, let's open it up to questions. Anybody have any
please.
questions for Lucy? David,
Yeah.
go ahead and unmute you.
I got one. Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
How's the commission structure there?
Yeah, that's a good question. By the way, I'm just going to say something, David. This is going to, just so you know, if you're in a meeting right now with somebody in Ramadan eating, that would be in a faux pas. Just saying, because I had to learn that in Ramadan. The police will stop you if you're eating during the day. But anyway, I'm just joking with you, David. Don't worry.
I need those police
watch.
right now at my house every day. Can you please send them over?
Yeah, actually, I lose weight in Ramadan. David, I'm just saying it because I want what you've got. Anyway, commission structure. Basically, if you're a buyer, the buyer pays 2%. So I know you guys are seller side, we're buyer side. Yeah, so it's 2%. Now, if it's an under construction property, we call it off plan, then the buyer pays no fee and the developer pays us.
So Lucy, the buyer pays the buyer's agent, but who pays the listing agent?
Well, that's basically, they don't. Unless it's a strong listing agent, everybody has to share the buyer's side, which is completely wrong. I mean,
So
I don't
2%
allow
shared
that.
by both listing agent
Yes.
and buyer's agent?
I know, because they don't have the right conversations with their seller. And a lot of them have never had training. People have never had training that they should be demanding to be paid by their seller to work for their seller. It's shocking.
And is it usually shared between two agents, or is it more typical that one agent represents both the buyer and seller?
No, unfortunately, it's usually shared between two. But for example, what I do and what we do in Keller Williams generally, because we have much higher standards, right, is if I'm contacting a seller's agent and I say, have you got any properties for my buyer? My question is always, I need you to be covered from your seller. Otherwise, I don't do business. And I even push them. And at times, because they trust me now, a lot of people know my name because I've been recruiting in Keller Williams for 2.5 years. Everybody knows Lucy. Sometimes I can even ask them to pass me their seller's name. And I tell them, I'll do the pushing to get the seller to pay us. And you and I will both get our 2 each. And they do it. They trust me.
Wow, that's great. That's
Because
great.
otherwise, you're compromising on your earnings, and that's not right.
Great question, David. Anybody else have a question?
I got another one.
Excellent.
So you said there's the different properties are freehold and leasehold properties, basically.
Yep.
Who is the majority owner of the leasehold properties?
It's whoever is the owner. Oh, it's local. So it will be local GCC, which is Gulf corporate country, the Gulf corporate countries. So the Gulf is Saudi, UAE, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar.
Got it. And are
Yeah.
most of the neighborhoods there gated neighborhoods, or is it like I don't know if you in like Los Angeles and the
Yeah.
US, you can just drive down streets and there's just random houses on either side of the street? Is everything gated there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're in an apartment building, you call it condominium, right? There is always a security guard, and you just can't go up and visit somebody. Even if it's a really cheap building, there's always a security guard. And then if it's like villas or mansions, there'll always be the gates. So like on the Palm Jumeirah, they've got like the branches, we call it the fronds of the palm. Each frond has a security. And the security in the past, even for us agents, became really obnoxious. And they were like, look at me, I'm in charge. And they would do everything possible not to let you in. You had to have
Let me just clarify for them, Lucy, that the Palm Jumeirah is a series of islands in the Gulf that sits just off the coast of Dubai, and they were man-made in the form of a palm. It's pretty cool. You can Google it. It's really, really cool.
Well, actually, so Lee, it's you drive down the trunk, and then so it's all connected, and it's all man-made. And there's actually a YouTube video of 45 minutes, a brilliant video. But there's also the World Islands, which is next door. And I actually had an island for sale, and we've had football clubs come there for New Year's Eve, like for parties. We've had weddings. And there's one island that you can go to for the day, go out and sunbathe. So it's really nice. It's great fun.
For those of you who haven't done it, go to Google Maps, Google Dubai, and look at what she's calling the world. They actually made a series of islands in the shape of the globe, of the different continents. Very cool.
Lee, can I ask a question to all the audience here? And I don't know how many people are watching. Is there anyone watching that's been to Dubai at all?
That's a great question.
No one? Okay.
No, Lucy, I have a question for you though.
Hi,
I'm wondering,
Christina.
hi, it's Christina.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. I'm wondering how this pandemic is affecting, or how you are anticipating it affect the market there.
Yeah, no, that's obviously a question at the moment. So basically, right, and for those of you that are not aware, that I'm actually sitting in the UK because I got stuck before they closed the country down. So I'm not sitting in Dubai right now. So, you know, I'm in the UK. So basically, right now in Dubai, they have to get a permit to leave the front door of your house. So if you want to go to a shop, if you want to go and do a viewing, if you want to go to the pharmacy, you have to get a permit. And if you don't, I think what I understand from my colleagues is that the police are pretty much fining every car that's driving on the street. And then if you have a receipt or a permit, you just cancel out the fine by showing the permit. Does that make sense? Yeah.
But from an economic standpoint, is there a conversation and concern about the market there?
Yeah, very much so. I think that concern is global though, so it's not so much local in Dubai. I mean, you know, our airline in Emirates and Etihad have almost closed down. We have the greatest show on earth, Expo 2020, which is now going to be put back by a year. I actually think that's better anyway. A lot of my property owners are going to be happier because their properties weren't quite ready. So I think that's exciting. But also you wouldn't want to be traveling this year anyway, because I think all of us are quite, you know, we're definitely aware that will we travel like we've traveled before? We probably won't. So to give it a year, I think is a good thing. But economically, Christina, I mean, you know, there's a lot more property out in Dubai and our clients are international. Will they travel or will they now stay home is the question. Funnily enough, I had a client yesterday, she's Italian, lives in Tenerife in Spain. And do you know what she said to me? This is interesting. She said, well, I don't want to buy in Tenerife because with this coronavirus, the whole island is shut down. So if I bought a property here, I would literally close off my return for future. So now it's made me think I need to buy where there's a future and there's a city. So she was looking at Florida or Dubai. And she looked at Dubai because of the safety. So that's an example of how the coronavirus could also help us, because people we've also got right now, we have no shortage of PPE. We have no shortage of hospital beds or ventilators, and none of our supermarkets ran out of food. And a lot of people that come to live in Dubai are perhaps looking for another residency. They're looking for a new lifestyle that's better. So I think it's highlighting the benefits of Dubai, quite frankly.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I see that David magically transported himself to Dubai and has the Palm Jumeirah behind him. Very cool, David.
Love it.
Any other questions for Lucy?
Hey, Lee, I've got two questions for you, Lucy. One, how is the job market in Dubai?
You mean now or in general?
Well, now it's probably a little unique, but in general, if people wanted to buy and move there, and no, I'm not thinking about it, but just, is it a growing job market for people?
Yes. Yeah, very much. So the main industries, obviously they were oil, but it's not so much. It's very much tourism and hospitality and real estate. Those are our key industries. And then also logistics. We have a lot of, we're central from Europe all the way over to Asia. So we've got the Gulf, so all the tankers come in and all the shipping. So it's a great sort of area for the logistics as well. So there's a lot of jobs and employment, but right now there aren't the jobs and employment, but that's because of coronavirus again. So that's like anywhere in the world. And of course, because we're travel and hospitality, I think it's really affected Dubai quite a lot.
And the other question I have is, how are deals facilitated there? For example, in the US, some states use escrow, other states use lawyers. Do you guys use escrows? How do you do your deals?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm now going to horrify you. You don't need to use a lawyer, and 99% of people do not use lawyers in transactions. So my first year in Dubai, when I was doing deals, I honestly found myself, like every other agent, looking at a past sales and purchase agreement and then cutting and pasting in different words. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, I am so not a lawyer. This doesn't seem right. What am I doing? You know, this is a property someone's spending 3 million dirham on. So we actually do have conveyancing companies, Mark. So they're not official lawyers, but they were lawyers back home, but they haven't got the right legal license in Dubai, but they are lawyers. And so I always put my transactions through them so that I can step back. And I learned that thanks to Keller Williams, because obviously, you know, we want to focus on our 20% and leave the 80% to everyone else in a transaction.
And
So,
what
yeah.
about the exchange of the money? Does the money go to an escrow company and then pass through the buyer or seller?
If you have a conveyancing, and if you don't, believe it or not, in the old days, agents were accepting monies, which is shocking. Keller Williams have never allowed that. And then, you know, in the past, there were situations where agencies and agents were running off with monies. It's pretty scary. But times are changing and there's a lot more regulation in place. We do have a scrowl. I'll tell you how we have a scrowl. So if you're buying a property under construction through a developer, then a developer is now not allowed to touch your first 10, 20, 30% payments until it's got to that point in the construction, and your money's held in a scrowl. It's not held with a developer. In the old days it was, and there were awful scenarios where developers ran off of people's money. That was in like 2006 times. But now it's very, very regulated. It's much safer, and it's much more pleasant now doing business because your money is safe. But it wasn't always that way. It had to learn the hard way, right? Probably like the US and the UK, but for us 200 years ago. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Mark. Anybody else? Lucy, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. If any of you have any questions about doing business in the Middle East, Lucy is the person to talk to. And she is just a wonderful resource for our company. And it's always great to connect with you, Lucy. Thank you so much.
Not at all. And you know what I'm doing, Lee? I'm just writing on the chat, my Instagram and my Facebook. And I've seen a question from Rob. Hi, Rob. How does lead generation look? Would you like me to answer that now, Lee, quickly?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about it before, but go ahead, say something else about it. That's great.
Yeah, so lead generation, basically, I'm doing exactly what you guys are doing, and I'm learning so much from all of our Keller Williams training, which is to go back through our database and obviously, you know, speak to our old clients. And so that's what I'm doing, same as you guys.
Great. And
yeah,
wonderful things. You can do that right from your house. And
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent. All right, Lucy, thank you so much. Hey, thank you everybody for joining, and look for more of these in the future.
Okay, amazing. And you know what I'm also going to do, Lee? Can I just add my WhatsApp here?
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody has WhatsApp. If you don't, it's free. And if you like send me a message that you've got a number, I can add you, but you need to open it up, and then I can message you, and you can receive my updated WhatsApps, just like Lee, and he's still smiling. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Lucy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
day.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.